Hello, fabulous superstar Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of November 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Synchronicity University is proud to present some absolutely incredible programs starting this month over at synchronicityuniversity.com with me looking at past lives in the astrology chart part 3. Mark Lawrenson, super popular superstar astrologer, teaching on the astrology of intimacy, and these incredible speakers only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links below. There are few things as important as a big, slow-moving planet moving into your sign. But you certainly have gotten a bit of a taste of this when Uranus entered your sign way back in July. Well, now Uranus will, on the 7th of the month, retrograde out of your sign to wrap up some loose ends before re-entering your sign in April. This is going to be a larger journey that you are at the very beginning of, and we're looking at 7 years in the making. And over the course of that 7-year period, it's almost as if for some Geminis, it's going to feel like you've been walking one path and you didn't realize that you were actually kind of asleep, kind of on automatic until you were shaken awake. And in some cases, there are going to be moments when it feels as if a very loud alarm clock has gone off and it has you sprinting out of bed. It has you feeling very wide awake in an instant. But right now, with Uranus retrograding out of your sign and back into a part of the sky that Uranus has been in for the most part since 2018. This is a part of the sky that has to do with what you're not aware of, what's happening on levels of soul, psyche, and spirit. As much as it has to do with karmic blessings that feel like they come out of nowhere, it also has to do with karmic closures and fortunate closures as well. Uranus, though, brings with it a surprise, if not shocking quality at times. And in many ways, as Uranus retrogrades out of your sign back into this part of the sky having to do with the unconscious, it is as if you are set to clear space, open up pathways from which all the new, personally and otherwise, is set to find you. It needs space to come into your life. And that's what the next few months are going to be part of helping you to carve out. As part of that, there may very well be a feeling of awakening, a feeling as if there's an inner restlessness. And in some cases, you can't quite put your finger on it, but you know it's there. And it might also feel as if through the discomfort that you can't put your finger on, well, it allows you to realize what isn't working, or what isn't working leaves your life, even if you think it is. Where it is you haven't wanted to see certain things clear as day to other people, this is where you are made aware in ways that are very undeniable, even if it's hard. And that can relate to just about any person, place, thing, or situation. More than the fact that Uranus leaves your sign and enters the part of the sky that has to do with the unconscious is the simple leaving of your sign. That should calm down your own vibration. It is Uranus that has been conceptualized as the higher frequency of Mercury, a planet that has to do with mind. And with Uranus, the mind itself starts to feel like it is running at 100 miles a minute, if not more. Ideas, insights, brain wave activity can feel lightning fast. Well, now you're going to get a little bit of a break of that. That doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to get a whole lot of rest in the months ahead. Again, that inner restlessness is going to be very strong. But there are likely going to be some closures, in some cases dramatic, in the weeks ahead. And you'll be able to see the wisdom of those closures. In some cases, as they play out in real time, in some cases just after. But whatever it feels like is coming to a close, it is fortunate. This is about you knowing and connecting deeply with the certainty that you have so much more yet to do in this lifetime. And you really do. it is now that you are creating space for what those new chapters just might be, that you'll uncover more and more fully in the years ahead. And I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. But for now, let's talk about some of the other things that are playing out this month that are going to be especially important. On the 5th of the month, we are going to have a full moon in the sign just before yours. So this is a full moon in the same part of the sky that 2 days later, we are going to have Uranus retrograde back into. A part of the sky that has to do with soul, psyche, spirit, what you didn't know, all of a sudden you do know. But here's the thing, unlike Uranus, which is that shock a moment energy, this full moon is going to be speaking in harmony with Jupiter and with Saturn. And that brings with it a sense of steadiness and also patience. It brings with it the opportunity to understand what a deeper healing just might be for you, but also to open yourself up to possibility. Now, consider this. Jupiter is moving through a financial part of the sky having to do with money you earn and money that you spend. And some financial opportunities might feel like they come up out of nowhere to find you. Blessings could be there on that front. But at the same time, this can be the ideas, the inspiration to align with greater prosperity that could feel like it stirs for you in important ways now. Because Saturn is also involved in this, and Saturn right now has retrograded back to the top of your sky, having to do with career, achievement, success as you uniquely define it, and purpose. Well, you're certainly thinking big picture. You're thinking long term here as part of figuring out whether or not any opportunities are worth accepting. Now, do consider this: on the 9th of the month, Mercury will officially go retrograde, spending the first 10 days of this retrograde moving through your opposite sign before leaving your opposite sign on the 19th and spending the final 10 days moving through a part of the sky that is another one of what astrologers call the work houses. It has to do with your day job and what you're actually doing day in and day out as part of what it is that you're good at and what the practicalities of life ask you for. There tends to be a lot of activity when it is that we have important celestial phenomenon in this part of the sky. And where it is that you might have thought that certain workplace opportunities were gone, they just might come back around, especially in the second half of this month. Now, if it is that it feels like an opportunity you thought was lost comes back around, that's where the energy becomes more promising. But where it is that there are work-related opportunities or new clients, new customers, new coworkers that you've never known before, just know that on the 29th, once Mercury does go direct, you might see that opportunity, that person differently in some way. And so with a Mercury retrograde, if you can help it, it's a good idea not to make big life-changing decisions, especially when they feel brand spanking new. They're not rooted in what it is that happened before. However, sometimes you have to trust your life and what it is that shows up for you and allow that space for things to maybe be a little bit different, and to be okay with that is part of how you might navigate this time. Overall, the energy of this Mercury retrograde is good. There are some lovely harmonious connections taking place throughout this month between a retrograde Mercury and big planets. However, when Mercury stands still and goes direct, it does so hand in hand with Mars. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of intensity to what it is that's happening in your daily life. Now, for some Geminis, this could be a focus on your health-related habits or taking the best of care of you. And where it is that you might need information or insight that helps you to make a more empowered decision, well, this energy just might help you to do that. This part of the sky also has to do with the things that you consistently do that create your reality and that create your overall sense of well-being, emotional, spiritual, mental, and otherwise. And it is as Mercury goes direct in this part of the sky that it feels as if you understand what you truly need and what supports that, who supports that very differently. in some cases in an instant. Now, all of this is furthered by the fact that on the 20th of the month, we are going to have this month's new moon in this same part of the sky having to do with your daily life. And new moons bring with them new opportunities. Again, it is going to be a retrograde Mercury in this part of the sky happening simultaneously with this new moon. And so opportunities that are new but connected to past events, past possibilities, those are the ones you want to be paying special attention to. However, if it feels like there's something really new that feels very unexpected, which is very possible, Uranus is opposite this full moon energy. And I feel like for some Geminis, it's almost as if in an instant, a new beginning is either needed or it shows up. And there's something that might feel uncomfortable about it, whether it's the way in which it shows up or your own feelings around it and the people involved in it, and you knowing whom it is that you're going to have to interact with day in and day out as part of this energy. And yet, for all that, we also get these powerful energies that speak to a deeper appreciation on your part. A deeper appreciation as to how it is that you actually want to live and making choices on that front. Just make sure that your choices are flexible rather than to be deep commitments. Mercury retrograde is a wonderful time for insights and understanding. Not always the best time to make very important choices. With this new moon setting up a water grand trine, right? So that is supremely harmonious, larger energy. And this harmonious energy is playing out with Saturn, with Neptune, with Jupiter. It is going to be at this time that it can feel like the blessings are able to flow that much more readily. But just when you think you know what it is, with Uranus opposite, in an instant, it just might look very different. So pace yourself as you navigate this time. Speaking of Jupiter, on the 11th of the month is when Jupiter will go retrograde. And Jupiter going retrograde in a part of the sky for you that has to do with money you earn, money you spend, self-love, self-esteem. This might be a time when you are redefining what prosperity is going to mean to you. Whenever a planet stands still, it is at the height of its power. And with Jupiter being the bestower of great blessings, it can feel like an especially abundant time. But Jupiter's going retrograde, which does suggest that some of your bigger money-making ideas or opportunities might be related to perhaps something you considered in the past, that you're picking up again, that you're looking at differently, or it could be in a very practical way that opportunity finds you. But I think for many Geminis out there, this is going to be a lot more oriented around your understanding of healthy self-love and healthy self-esteem, feeling a burst of not just personal clarity, but healing on that front. That might be even more valuable because from there, from an appreciation of what you value within you, taking that step towards understanding how you might turn that into prosperity, how the universe might respond to what you are putting out in terms of what you value about yourself, well, that becomes an important meditation or consideration as well that could line you up for greater prosperity, especially in the fullness of time. Now, where it comes to matters of love, I focused a lot so far on the second part of Mercury retrograde, which happens in that daily part of your sky. But the first part of Mercury going retrograde from the 9th to the 19th is with Mercury in your opposite sign. You add to this the fact that it is going to be on the 4th of the month that Mars will move into your opposite sign for about the next month and a half. All of this adds up to a lot of focus on another person, including in the context of love. Mercury retrogrades tend to be very important in how it is that they bring back past situations, feelings, and opportunities. And in this case, that just might include in the context of love. However, remember, what you think it is, what it seems like it is, just might look very different to you once we get into December. At that time, Mercury will re-enter your opposite sign, and give you a whole other understanding of what plays out this month. And so, I like to say, pace yourself and be yourself. You really are going to want to remember that in the context of connecting with others and communicating as well. Now, also consider that Mercury retrograde in your opposite sign means that breakups that happen tend to not stay broken up. Misunderstandings, miscommunications become that much more likely, and evaluating a moment differently in some way might be a part of how this larger journey shows up for you and how you might use the energy now, but also next month as well. So for those of you open to meeting someone new, Mercury tends to be rather uncanny. It is sort of like the last moment you expected. You're walking around, you're doing your errands, and there, poof, where you least expected is somebody from your past, someone that you might have been partnered with before. Also, somebody reaching out to you quite intentionally. If you feel like you want to reach out to somebody quite intentionally, well, look, do what feels right for you to do in light of your unique circumstances. But remember, whatever it looks like this month, it just might look very different once we get to next month, where you're seeing things a lot more clearly, including your motivations and their motivations as well. Now, outside of actually connecting with someone from your past or reconnecting, as the case may be, this can be connecting with someone who is a lot like someone that you were connected to before, or who in some way represents some past pattern. Now, whether you judge that as positive or negative, it's like it gives you an opportunity to do the work and to show yourself that you've grown. And for some, that just might be one of the more healing experiences and important experiences you're going to have this month. For those of you just starting to date someone, big energies here. And just know that however you might be evaluating this situation, this person, and the potential you see here or not, you might see it very differently once we get into December. And a part of that could be that you're seeing it way more optimistically than it deserves, or it could be that you are having some serious doubts. Either case is not right or wrong. And it's a good idea to stay connected to your own deeper feelings as to whether or not you feel that there really is a sense of moving towards partnership with this person. Again, your evaluations of this connection, the possibility here, whatever conclusions you're drawing now, you just might see it very differently once we get into December. And for those of you in an established bond, where it comes to having certain conversations again or going deeper in terms of understanding each other, that is part of the strength of this time. There is going to be that small percent, though, if you felt for a while that you might not be in the right relationship for you, or you've tried to leave this person in the past, some of that tendency might feel especially strong, especially in the first part of the month with Mercury retrograde. But remember, Mars remains in your opposite sign, starting on the 4th of this month and into next month as well. And that means, on the one hand, it can feel as if your partner is a little bit more irritating. That becomes possible. But the other possibility is, it feels as if you have to pour a lot of energy in their direction. And in some cases, it's something that you might take on quite willingly as part of realizing with greater depth what it is that you truly feel for this person. Where relationships are good, your experiences now are going to show you just how dedicated you are and fortify the bond. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I am going to say I think Uranus retrograding out of your sign probably is the biggest energy of the moment. Uranus will, again, move back into your sign once we get into April of 2026 for a much longer stay. But for now, this is the moment when you get a little bit of a breather. You get to evaluate the journey that you've been on since July. How much has felt like maybe it shook loose in your life, or you realized about you and your pathway forward. And it is these energies now that are a part of opening up something deeper within you. A profound cleansing could happen, all a part of creating space for all the very many things you have yet to do and to be in this lifetime. Thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate over at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expansive, exclusive video scopes each week for each sign for as low as just $3 a month. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, links below. A limited number of consultations are available with me between now and the end of the year, online on my website, NadiyaShah.com, and in person this month in Montreal, Canada. You can learn more and sign up for yours now, link below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.